All right, we are rocking. Whoa, we are rocking. Good evening, good afternoon. Welcome to the webinar, everybody. Let's just get this sorted out, and we are ready to rock. Hello, Tokyo. Konbanwa, Tokyo. Budapest. Who else do we have? Hong Kong. Apagabar. Jakarta. I'm sorry if I missed you out, but that's what I can see so far. A whole bunch of people coming in from all these different countries and cities. Fantastic. Thank you so much for joining tonight. I know you guys are really busy, so I promise that the next 50, 60 minutes with me will be a great investment of your time. I'm going to show you seven tools that you can use to get customers for your business right here, right now. And what else am I going to show you tonight? Yeah, some ideas about how you can get customers for your new business. So that's why you're here tonight. You want to get customers, right? You want customers. You want the money. Show me the money, baby. This is what it's about tonight. Getting customers. No messing around. No products, no ideas, no planning. Customers. It's all about money tonight. So I'm going to show you what I do to get customers, what works, what doesn't work, give you some ideas. And you know what? You can ask me questions as well. So that's the point of a webinar. There's a chat box here, which some of you guys have already discovered. Thank you so much for putting your content in the chat box already. But that chat box, use that chat box to ask questions throughout this webinar presentation. And what I'll do is I'll answer those questions at the end. All right, guys, let's do this. So we're talking about how to get customers for your new business. I'm going to share with you some ideas, what the challenges are, how to overcome those challenges, and also the tools that you can use. You can start using these tools tonight to get customers. How about that? Is that a good deal? All right. So you can put stuff in the chat box. You can ask snarky questions like that. That's fine. I don't care. That's fine. I'm used to this. This is a Uniqlo shirt. What's the problem with that? I've gone past my brand stage in life, Jamie. So anyway, let's do this. All right. So whilst we're waiting for everybody to rock up tonight, tell me where you're from. So find out where the chat box is. Down there in the, no, it's this way around. No, this way around. In the bottom left corner, let me know where you're from. Get used to using the chat box. If you have any questions during this webinar, pop them in the chat box. I won't answer those straight away. You know, if you want to know what brand shirt this is, that's fine. Ask me that question. You won't derail me. I will answer that at the end in the Q&A section when we do all the questions, because this is a live Q&A webinar, right? So this is you and me right here, right now. We're talking about your business. We're talking about how we can get customers for your business. So let's do this. Let's rock and roll. So this is Up.School. This is what it's all about. This is about helping you to launch your business. And what we're going to do tonight, 5 things that we're going to look at tonight. The problem. So what is the main mistake that entrepreneurs make when they try and get customers for their new business, right? What are the solutions? We'll talk about next week. What we're going to talk about next week. Q&A session, so where you can ask me any kind of question about what we're talking about tonight, and then how you can download today's presentation. So if you stick around to the end of this presentation, you can download. I'll show you how you can download the presentation. So how about that? Pretty cool. I know you're busy, but this is going to be a really good investment of your time. And there is no better investment of time for an entrepreneur than getting customers, because that is the lifeblood of your business. Are you hearing me loud and clear? I'm just moving the microphone just to make sure I'm sounding good, right? Okay, cool. Let's do this. So 7 tools. I'm going to show you tonight 7 tools to get customers. How about that? 7 tools. These are 7 tools that you can sign up for. Some of them are free. Some of them you have to pay for. These are tools that I've used, that I recommend, and I'll show you why I recommend those tools to you tonight to get customers. You can get customers with these tools, and I'll show you how you can use them and the best ways to use them. All right. And as I said, if you have any questions about tonight, because it's going to get a little bit technical in places, put those questions in the chat box at any time. And what I'll do is I will endeavor to answer those questions. If it's relevant right here, right now, I'll answer it. Otherwise, we'll put it into the Q&A session at the end. All right, guys. So fantastic. Let's do this. Really good turnout tonight. Lots of cities and countries represented. We've got Japan, Hungary, Hong Kong, Indonesia. Hello to you all. Sorry if I missed out anybody else. But you guys are the hardcore of Up.School. You guys turn up every week. Those countries, love you guys. Some of my favorite countries in the world. So I'm going to do my best tonight to deliver. Return a bit of the love. So let's start with the problem. What is the problem that entrepreneurs have when trying to get customers at, for an early stage business? And what I want to share with you, what I want to show you tonight is how customers see your problem, your solution, your app, your website, your consultancy service, whatever it is. I want to show you through their eyes, because this is often a revelation for entrepreneurs, because we're so busy developing our stuff that we don't often see it through the eyes of the customer. I want to show you tonight some psychological tests to show how customers see your product, your service from their perspective, and that hopefully will really open your eyes to how you need to really redevelop and rephrase how you're marketing your product or service. So these are the two biggest challenges that you're going to face tonight. I want to talk about these challenges in a minute. We'll look at the two biggest challenges that entrepreneurs have when trying to get customers for a new business. And you know what I tend to see with new entrepreneurs, and this is what I want to impress upon you tonight, these are the approaches that I don't want to see you doing. One is emailing a whole bunch of people, so getting a list of 10,000 people and sending emails to 10,000 people about the launch of your product. That won't work. Let me guarantee this for you now. That approach won't work. So that sort of mass approach, that mass spam approach to getting attention won't work. And the second one is having some kind of big launch. So if you do any of these kind of approaches, like the mass spam or the big launch, what happens is people are going to ignore you, and it's going to get really frustrating. You're going to go out there, you'll be emailing people about your product. You'll be setting up this really cool launch of your product or your app, and people are going to ignore you. And that's the frustration that every entrepreneur faces when they launch a business. So how do you overcome that? So the two key challenges that you will have as an entrepreneur in getting customers for your new business are these: trust and attention. So let me talk about these, because these are the two most important things that you need to earn to get customers for your business. And let me put it into perspective. Trust. Okay? So why is trust important when getting customers for your new business? I want you to do this test. Okay? So right now you can't do this test physically, but I want you to imagine this test, right? I want you to go to the nearest station. Go to the nearest train station. Think about, what is the nearest train station to me? Go to that train station. Stand outside the exit entrance of that train station. Okay? And what I want you to do is take a whole bunch of notes, money. So they could be £50 notes, $100 notes, 1,000,000 yen, Japanese yen, or I don't know what it is in Indonesia, like 10 million rupiah, right? So whatever it is, I want you to take a whole bunch of notes and stand outside the train station, okay? And I want you to hand out that money to people coming out of this train station. So people who don't know you, coming out of the station, you're going to give them $100. You're going to stand there and give them $100. Let me ask you this question: what is going to happen? I guarantee that a large percentage of people will look at you like, what the freak? What are you doing? Why are you trying to give me money? What is going on? Why is this guy giving me free money? $100. Where's the catch? I don't trust this guy. Is he some freak? What does he want? Does he want something else out of me? That's all the kind of questioning going through the head of that person that doesn't know you. But you're giving them free money. Why don't they take the free? Come on, it's $100. Why don't you take $100 from me? And this test is an analogy for how you are marketing your product for a new business, right? You have a fantastic product, right? You have a fantastic idea, a great app, a great service, a great consultancy, whatever it is. And you think that customers will be stupid not to take you up on that idea, right? You're giving it away for a knockdown price. You're giving them all these kind of extras for the service. And you're standing there giving them $100 notes and they're just saying, freak off, effectively, because they don't trust you. So that is how customers see an early stage business. It's like, even though you think you have a great idea, if you don't have trust of a customer, there's very little chance that they will pick you up on that idea. And that's one of the biggest frustrations that an early stage entrepreneur faces. You've got a fantastic product, a fantastic idea, but without trust, people won't take it, no matter how good it is. Okay? So the second challenge that I think about is attention. I want to do a test with you right now. So we're going to do an awareness test, right? And what I want to do is I want to share with you this awareness test. It's a video. You're going to watch this video, okay? This is a psychology test. And I want you to watch this video and answer the question in the video and put your answer in the chat box, all right? It's a bit of fun, but there's a serious message for this. This is about how customers see your marketing, all right? So I'm going to flip this over. What you should now see is a video front page which says awareness test. I'm going to play this for you, follow the test, and then I'm going to pause it. And when I pause it, I want you, every single one of you, put your answers in the chat box. Okay? So watch this closely.
This is an awareness test. How many passes does the team in white make?
Go!
All right, guys, did you follow? It asked you how many passes does the team in white make? Put your answers in the chat box. All right, okay, we've got 12 here. Do we have any advances on 12? All right, if you were watching, you should have followed that, right? It's pretty simple stuff. Put your answers in there. 12, 13, 19. All right, do we have any advances? Any more that want to go in there before I hit the play button? Last chance. You're watching that video very closely. Only one of you's got that right, by the way. All right. Okay, all right. Let me play this for you.
The answer is 13.
Well done. If you wrote 13, well done. You're fantastic. You're very aware. You're very attentive. But did you see anything strange in this video? If you haven't seen this video before, let me ask you this question. Did you see anything strange in this video?
But did you see the moonwalking bear?
Go!
Did you see that? There was a guy in a bear costume that moonwalked across the field of view, and probably most of you didn't see that because you were paying attention to what? You were paying attention to the team in white passing the ball, right? And as it says here, it's easy to miss something you're not looking for. Now, this is an advertising campaign for cyclists, and you can see why, because you know you've either been a cyclist or you're driving a car, you're driving along and you look right to pull out and you don't see anything, you pull out to turn right, and then boom, there's a cyclist there. Where the hell did that guy come from? Well, he was always there. The reason is you didn't see him because you weren't paying attention, you weren't looking for him. And that is a serious message. It's a serious message for cyclists. And as you can see from this awareness test, even though you were looking attentively at the field of view, you didn't see a guy in a moonwalking bear outfit. And that's a really serious implication for us as entrepreneurs for an early stage business. What is the implication there? The implication here is attention is our biggest cost, because if somebody's not already looking for your product or your service. They won't see it. And my point is this: you have a moonwalking bear. You've got this pretty damn cool app, or you've got this pretty damn cool service, or this pretty damn cool website, or this pretty damn cool consultancy, whatever it is. Whatever it is, it's pretty damn cool. It's a moonwalking bear. It's a guy in a moonwalking bear outfit. It's cool, all right? But nobody is paying attention to it. They're paying attention to something else. And the human brain is trained to do this, right? You know, they say that the average consumer today sees 170,000 marketing messages by her 17th birthday. Think about that. 170,000 marketing messages by her 17th birthday. You are one of those marketing messages. What makes you stand out? So if you think that you stand out simply because you've got a moonwalking bear outfit on, i.e. you're cool or you're interesting or you're of benefit to this person, forget it. You will be ignored. So how do we get through this? How do we create trust and attention with the modern consumer? That is the challenge that entrepreneurs like us face on a daily basis, because if you don't have it, you won't get customers. So let's have a look at what the solution is tonight. I want to show you how you can earn trust and attention and how you can get customers, because simply going out there and turning up the volume ain't going to work, right? Simply going out there and shouting about what you do is not going to work. We have to be a little bit more intelligent about our approach tonight, and that's what I want to share with you now. So the key to trust and attention and getting customers without spending, millions of dollars on advertising, two things here: your ecosystem and your engagement strategy. Okay, so these may be new concepts to you. So let me explain a little bit about what this is about. First of all, your ecosystem. Now, if you have a new business, the first place you should look for customers, for referrals, and you should do your marketing is your ecosystem. And your ecosystem is your relationship network around you. It's the people you have relationships with, okay? The people you have built trust and attention with. So if you look at the people who have turned up to this webinar tonight, chances are a lot of those people that I've interacted with at some stage along the way. I have trust and attention with these people. That's the ecosystem, right? But it goes a little bit deeper than that. You've got to go a little bit deeper than that. What is your personal ecosystem? So for me, for example, my personal ecosystem is triathlon. So, I'm big into swim, bike, and run. I know people who do swim, bike, and run. I know coaches, I know elites, I know elite amateurs, I know professionals. I know all kinds of people in this industry because I'm absolutely passionate about triathlon, Ironman triathlon to be specific, right? So if I was to launch a business about that, it would be very easy for me to go out and get trust and attention of people in that ecosystem because I already know these people. It's going to be so much easier. If I didn't know anything about triathlon and I wanted to sell, for example, bikes or triathlon gear, it's going to be very difficult for me to go out and build some kind of trust and attention with these consumers, with these customers, right? So if you go back to the attention test, the awareness test that we just did, even though I may have a great, for example, product, they ain't going to look at me. They ain't even going to focus on me. They're going to ignore me. I don't have any kind of relationship with them at all. So it's going to be very difficult for me. So one thing to think about if you're launching a new business is how does this relate to my ecosystem? Okay, because if this doesn't relate to your ecosystem, it's going to be very difficult for you to get customers. You're going to have to spend a lot of money to get trust and attention. And what I mean by ecosystem, it could mean, for example, your passion, like triathlon, for example. It could be your worldview. So, you could be hanging around with libertarians, for example, or, you could be a Christian and therefore a lot of other Christians, that kind of thing. Or you could be into world travel, a lot of travelers, or learning English, people who are also learning English, English teachers, people who are setting up language schools, that kind of thing. So always focus on your ecosystem as the starting point to get customers, because it's going to be so much easier for you as an entrepreneur to find customers. The second element is engagement. And when I mean engagement, I mean the process, the strategy you use to get customers. Okay, so there's two ways of doing this. The first way is give me your wallet. Here's my product. All right, that's the sort of the old school way of selling. What you have to do now is the gently approach towards sales, which is sort of like this, ongoing dialogue building with customers over time. And I want to show you how you can do that using newsletters, how you can use autoresponders to build engagement. You have to build a conversation with customers to sell to them in this modern era of very scarce trust and attention. So what I want to show you tonight is the 7 tools that I use to get customers, okay? To build trust, to build attention. And to do this, just to give you an outline first, very, very briefly, I want to talk about the structure of how you need to get customers for your business, okay? The three elements to this structure you need to think about. Firstly is, where do you get your traffic? Then where do you drive your traffic? And then how do you build engagement with those customers long term? So I will show you a system that I use to get customers. Very, very simple. Get traffic, send them to a landing page, get them onto your mailing list, and then build engagement with them long term. It works. It's very simple. It works. You don't have to reinvent the wheel here. So if you were to take part in my Up.School 0 to 1 course, I talk a lot about the marketing funnel, which is what I've just kind of alluded to just here, which is how you need to get customers these days, right? Everybody wants a paying customer, okay? This is a paying customer, but you can't start the relationship at that level because it's just too difficult in this modern day and age to start a relationship with somebody off the bat, get them to pay. So what you have to do is you have to build a relationship with customers over time. And when I mean customers, you have to build a relationship with people generally who haven't paid yet. So you have to start with website visitors, get them onto a newsletter, and then build a dialogue with them to sell to them on that newsletter. And then from that, use your best customers to attract new customers. Use them as fans and advocates of your business. This is a process that works. It's proven many, many times over. And if you try anything else in the modern attention economy, you're going to have a lot of hard work. If you go out there and send 10,000 emails and nobody responds, or you get a few responses, but you can't really develop those responses, you understand why. The reason is you don't have trust and attention. This is a model that works in this economy where trust and attention are scarce. So 2 of the things I'm going to talk about tonight: organic and inorganic marketing to get customers. I won't spend a lot of time talking about the difference between these two. I go a lot more in depth into these in my course. Organic basically means getting customers through word of mouth, through relationships, and inorganic means getting customers through paying, like advertising. I'll talk a little bit about that tonight. Your marketing mix should really be broken down like this: 30% inorganic, 70% organic, ideally. At the beginning, maybe you're going to be 100% organic because it's easier to get this whole thing going. But if you have a budget, look at doing some kind of inorganic marketing as well. I'll talk a little bit about that tonight. Okay, so the 7 tools. Let's have a look at those 7 tools that you need to get customers, and start at the very top, the very basic tool, the very fundamental tool that you need to get customers is this: the autoresponder. What is an autoresponder, Graham? Well, an autoresponder is email. And you may say to me, hey, why are we talking about email in a time when everybody's using Facebook, Line, WhatsApp, Snapchat, you name it? Well, let me tell you this: email is the most effective and successful way of getting customers, hands down, compared to any other marketing channel, any other social media, email works. No matter what people say, all those people that advocate doing Pinterest or whatever, email time and time again works. Okay, so an autoresponder is effectively an automated email. Okay, so you get people onto an email list, and on that email list, you send them automated emails. And those automated emails build a relationship and a dialogue with that customer over time, and eventually that results in a sale. So you're taking them on a journey with your email. If you don't have an autoresponder, you're missing out. You're missing out on 90% of the sales opportunity, because everybody that comes to your website today or tomorrow, you're going to miss them if you try and sell to them. Rather than sell to them, get them onto your email list and then build a dialogue with them using your autoresponder. I'll tell you a little bit about autoresponder styles right now. To do this, you need some kind of software. You can start with MailChimp. I recommend MailChimp because it works for me. There are many other types of mail software out there. If you're already using one, stick with it. Go with what works for you. If you're not yet using a mail software, use MailChimp because I recommend it. You can sign up for free, no problem. You can get going, get used to it, and then just learn the ropes about mail software. So let's talk about the autoresponder part of email software, because this is absolutely essential. This is the fundamental. This is, if you want to build a business and get customers, you absolutely have to have an autoresponder. No argument about this, okay? Because everything you do, every interaction, every blog post, every bit of social media, every conference presentation that you do, the goal of that interaction is not to get people to buy your stuff. The goal of that interaction is to sign them up to your newsletter. And when you're on the newsletter, you can sell to them. So I'm going to show you now 4 different types of autoresponders. A lot of information here. As I said, I go into more depth about this in the course because there's so much information here to cover, right? So 4 different types of autoresponder. The first type is this, and this is the most common autoresponder. You sign up, as it says here, you opt in, you get a welcome email. Forget it. That's a complete waste of time. You're wasting all the effort that you put in to get that person into your email list in the first place. Forget it. This is a complete waste of your time. It's a waste of your customers' time, everything. All right. But that is probably 90% of all the autoresponders out there because people just don't know what to do. The second type of autoresponder is one you're probably familiar with, which is something like this. Somebody comes to your website, they opt in, they get a welcome email, and then they go through this sequence where they get useful content, some kind of pitch email, usually about the end of the first week, which pitches a product, and then often there's a follow-up email to that. And if you're not to buy the product, it sends you this second sequence, which is the second week of being on the autoresponder. You get useful content, pitch. And this repeats itself week in, week out. Useful content, pitch. Now, that has been around for years and it used to work, but not anymore. And the reason why this doesn't work so much anymore is because of what I just told you, trust and attention. There's so much out there now that people aren't paying attention to these emails anymore. So this approach doesn't work as effectively as it used to. And in response to that, some marketers have upped their game. And what they have now is the third type of autoresponder, which is where you opt in, you get the welcome email, and then you get promotion. This is what's called the ground and pound autoresponder sequence to get customers. It's like hit you with product promotions all the time until you either tell this guy to piss off or you buy the product. Okay, so you either have the customer opening up their wallet or you have this customer in tears. All right, this doesn't work. It is a sort of response to not having trust and attention. It's sort of like the spam approach to it, which is get somebody onto your email and just pitch. you're completely wasting your efforts here, because you may get some sales out of this, but the problem is that you haven't built trust and attention. You haven't engaged your customers enough to be able to sell to them. So let's have a look at the fourth type, which is the recommended type of autoresponder sequence to get customers, which is where you get somebody to opt into a newsletter sequence. You hit them with a welcome email. Hi, welcome to my email. This is what I'm about. This is what I think. This is my worldview, etc., etc. And then what you do is you hit them with useful content. Hey, here's some links. Here's some articles that I find useful. Here's some videos that I produced last few months that you may find useful. And then you follow up with an engagement email. An engagement email is not a sales email. An engagement email could be, for example, hey, do you want to join my webinar? I've got a webinar coming up next week. Go and sign up. That's an engagement email. And that engagement email could lead to a webinar, which also then could lead to a pitch to sell to the customer. You've got to make sure that your engagement email is in sync with the content that you're hitting them with. So for example, if your engagement email is about developing websites, you're going to do a webinar about website development, make sure the content in the preceding emails is relevant to that specific subject. All right. So this works. You're not hitting them with pitch, 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 pitch. What you're doing instead is you're building trust and attention with them over time. You're building authority, okay? Because if you have authority, you can sell to that person time and time again, but it's a long-term play. If you want customers, you've got to go in at the long term. You've got to build a dialogue with them over the long term. So that's an email autoresponder. Now, to make your email autoresponder work, the second tool that you should think about is a landing page builder. Okay, there's a number of different tools that you can use to build landing pages. But let me talk about what a landing page is. This is a landing page. This is my landing page for next week's webinar. Okay, you can't click this button yet because this is not a live page, all right? But this is what it looks like. A landing page is a single page where you only present your visitor with one option, and that one option is to sign up to something, or to sign up for a newsletter, or to join a webinar, and so on. Get them onto your newsletter, and then you can sell to them. Now, that's a landing page. The conversion rate of a landing page should be around 10%. That's a reasonable conversion rate for an industry. It varies by what you're trying to pitch, what your industry you're in, and so on. So let's say 10% of the people sign up. Now, if you compare that to a standard web page where you have an article and you have a box in that article for people to sign up to your newsletter, you know, the conversion rate of that is probably 0.5% or 0.2%. So a landing page is significantly more, 20 or 50 times more effective than a standard page. You strip out all the links, you just give them one option. That is the most effective way to convert unknown website traffic into known signups to your newsletter or to your webinar, or whatever it is, right? So that's a landing page. Usually what happens on a landing page is you give away what's called a lead magnet. Okay, let me explain. So a lead magnet is a very effective way of getting people to sign up to your list. There's a number of ways of doing this. One way, which I've just shown you, is get people to sign up for a webinar. People love webinars. As you know, you're here tonight, right? Webinars are very effective. Another way is to give away a lead magnet. A lead magnet is your free gift, right? So, you know, you've been to these websites where you can get a free gift, a free PDF, a free MP3 file, whatever it may be. And people like this. People will give you their name and email address in return for that free gift. And you know what's interesting about this is you can convert a lot of traffic using a lead magnet. Okay, it doesn't have to be particularly special. You don't have to have a really complicated lead magnet. You have something really, really basic. So I want to show you some examples of lead magnets now that you can use to get people onto your list and convert them into customers. So here's an example of a lead magnet. This is with the service Ad Espresso, which is an ad service for Facebook. So what they'll do is they'll optimize your Facebook ads. What they're giving away here, as you can see on the left-hand side, is a PDF, 500 plus Facebook ads that will inspire you. Really basic stuff. You know, they just collected a whole bunch of ads, put them into a document, and you can download this document. What they're asking for on the right-hand side, a whole bunch of information: first name, email, advertising budget, and so on. To be honest, I think this is kind of excessive. You don't need all that stuff. You just need the first name and the email to get people to sign up. Give away a lead. Everybody can create a lead magnet. You can create a lead magnet. And you're probably thinking, what can I create a lead magnet about? Well, you know, if you are, for example, offering some kind of travel related service, give them a PDF about travel. It doesn't have to be related to your product. It has to be related to travel rather than your product, right? Think of the domain rather than the product. Let's have a look at some examples. I want to show you some examples to show you that absolutely anybody can produce a lead magnet to get names for your list. Here's one, completely random. I found this one. I never thought I'd find something like this, but here's a completely random lead magnet, right? So this lead magnet here is a PDF which is preventing diver fatalities, right? I mean, that's real niche stuff, okay? But the interesting thing about that is it just goes to show that you don't need to have an extensive lead magnet to make this work. This is just a free article, all right? And absolutely anybody can do this, right? If you were running a dog grooming service, you could run a lead magnet about dog grooming. Absolutely anybody can produce a lead magnet. Doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be sort of internet marketing related stuff. But that absolutely works. That will get a lot of signups. Here's another. I want to show you another one to show you example that anybody can produce a lead magnet. Here, look, top 10 flooring mistakes. I mean, wow. I mean, that's so niche, but that's the point, isn't it? Is that anybody can do this. You can do this too. Don't focus on selling your product. Instead, focus on what problem your potential customer may have, and then demonstrate your authority, which wins their trust and attention by giving them a free lead magnet. Okay, and once they read that lead magnet, that will show them that you know what you're talking about. So let's have a look at some of the tools that you can use to do this. I've talked about landing page software. Personally, I use Lead Pages as a software. I mean, Lead Pages is a great software. You can basically just pick out templates, and you can create templates real fast and test these templates to get people to sign up. Really basic stuff. Or it's just kind of find and replace on the the template. You don't need to go out and develop all this stuff, and you can actually host this stuff on Lead Pages. You can host it on your own WordPress website. So whatever your service, you can easily knock up a page, put up a lead magnet there, and get people to sign up. You can then go and send that email to people, email your network, post it out on social media, get people to sign up to your PDF, get your free whatever it is, and get people onto your list and start building a relationship with them, and then start selling to them. So that's the second tool. The third one, a little bit more complicated, but this is a fantastic tool. This totally works to get customers, okay? It's the SKYPE and MVP pitch. If you've checked in on one of my previous webinars, you know I'm a big fan of MVP pitches, minimum viable product pitch. If you missed out on this, go and check out the course, because I go real deep into MVPs and how you can produce a product, minimum amount of time and money, and how you can pitch that product without actually having a product as well, how you can get customers without a product, all these kind of hacks that really work. What you can do is you can go to your ecosystem, pitch 10 people your idea which is not yet finished, and ask them to pay simply $10 for that idea. So 10 people spend $10 for that idea, and if they're in your ecosystem, they will trust you, they will pick you up on this. Find 10 good people that will work, that will give you good feedback for your product and service, and say, hey, look, this is what I'm developing, it's not ready yet, it's not finished, here's the idea. I know this idea will solve a problem that you have personally, because I know you really well, and it's a problem you have with your business or your dog or with cycling or whatever it may be, but I want you to pay me $10 because $10 shows me that you're serious. This absolutely works. And combine this with a service like Calendly. You can basically send people a link and say, hey, look, if you're interested, go and click this link to Calendly, and Calendly will allow you to schedule a call with this person, a Skype call with this person, all right? Or you can use something like Schedule Once, which I use, which is paid. Calendly is free. Schedule Once is paid. Both great pieces of software. So what you're doing is you're going to your network, you're pitching 10 people, you're giving people a link and saying, hey, look, if you're interested, what I want you to do is book a time with me so we can have a one-on-one Skype call to talk about this. And what we'll do is in this one-on-one Skype call, either I'm going to give you the solution that we're talking about, or we can set up a time to talk about the solution. But that's the commitment you want. If you get that kind of commitment, you can also get $10 off them. So that's the third option. Fourth option to get customers is LaunchRock. If you haven't experienced LaunchRock already, this is what it looks like. It's a simple landing page where it gives people a coming soon announcement, all right? And ask them for an email address, as you can see here. Now you can send your network a link to a LaunchRock page for free, and you can collect email addresses. So you can say, hey, look, I'm launching this dog grooming service. Here's the link. If you're interested in it, put your email in here. I will then tell you a little bit more about the service when it launches and give you some offers and so on. Collect the names. You've got people ready to become subscribers, ready to become customers, paying customers for you. You can set this up for free. What you can do with LaunchRock is you can go in and you can pick out a whole bunch of templates that work for you. Real easy. The paid service offers you a little bit more in terms of analytics and so on, but you can pretty much do everything on LaunchRock for free. I think it's a great service. You can get into the game. You don't need a website. You don't need a product. You don't need anything. All you need to do is just email a whole bunch of people and send them to this page. And that's all you need to do to get into the game. And once they've signed up to this newsletter, you can then hit them, talk about your product, etc., etc. So that's the fourth idea. Fifth idea, webinars. Webinars are absolutely fantastic for converting people that you have a relationship with into paying customers. So the reason why webinars work is you can have this one-on-one communication with people. It's live. People know that it can go wrong, all that kind of nonsense, but you can deliver. People have given you the time. They've invested their time into this, this hour with you, and you can use that to educate them. And teaching sells. If you want to get customers, teach. It's a great way. It doesn't matter. Even if you've got an app and the app may not be related to teaching, teach people about the subject of which your app is relevant to. So let's go back to dog grooming. Let's say you're offering a dog grooming service. Teach people about dogs or dog grooming. That will get people to turn up. And if you can teach people, you demonstrate your authority. And by demonstrating your authority, you win their trust and attention. And when you have trust and attention, you can sell. Not before. Only when you have trust and attention, you can sell. So 2 pieces of software that you can use to run your webinar. Webinar Jam is one example. It's an expensive piece of software. It's about, I don't know, I can't remember now, a few $100s a year. It's based on the Google Hangout software. If you ever joined one of the first webinars that I did here, I used Webinar Jam. It was based on Google Hangouts. You kind of get an idea of the strengths and weaknesses of that software. What I'm using now is Click Meeting. Again, it's a paid service. It's about $40 or $50 a month. But as you can see, it's a pretty good platform for webinars. But you know what? There's a whole bunch of free webinar software providers out there which you can use. So for example, if you have a list of people, why not set up a webinar, invite people to a webinar and just show them that you know what you're talking about, build a relationship with them, talk about interesting subjects, and then get them on that list and then generally build that relationship with them. Then you can pitch them. Then you can sell to them. You can't do it before. Webinars are a great way of doing that. So 2 more. So we talked about 5 ways of getting customers, 5 organic methods. I talked about organic and inorganic, if you remember. Now, what I want to talk about is the two inorganic ways of getting customers. And you should do both. If you have the budget, you should do organic and inorganic. The first one is Twitter advertising. So Twitter is quite late to the game with advertising. So it's the most recent advertising platform compared to Facebook and Google. And I've used it. I like Twitter as an ad campaign platform. There are a lot of good things about it. Compared to the other platforms, compared to Google, it's cheaper than Google, but more expensive than Facebook. It's got more targeting than Google and Facebook. You can go real deep. So you can get onto Twitter and you can get really specific about the kind of people that you want to see your tweet. And it is just a tweet. That's it. That's the limitation of it. What you're doing is you're paying for a tweet that gets promoted to thousands of people. But if that tweet's good enough, what you should do is use that tweet to send people to a landing page. That landing page could be a webinar. That landing page could be a sign up to your newsletter. That landing page should not be a sales page. You should not run a Twitter ad campaign to send people to buy your product, because you're going to lose so many people. What you should do instead, send people to sign up to your newsletter, get your lead magnet, or sign up for your webinar, because then you have the trust and attention that you can then go and send them to your product page later on. Downside, let me tell you about the negative aspect of Twitter advertising campaigns from my own perspective. Is to run a Twitter ad campaign, you need to have an established Twitter account already. Twitter runs all these kind of algorithms like relevancy scores. So if you don't have a very active Twitter account, it's going to cost you more to run a Twitter campaign. If you're very active on Twitter, Twitter may be a great opportunity for you to get out there and promote. And you can even do this. You can run $10, $50, whatever it is. You can just try it out just to see if it works for you. But that's the downside. You need to have an active Twitter account. You can't just set up an account and then run an ad campaign. Twitter won't let you do that. You've got to have subscribers. You've got to have followers. You've got to have tweets. So if you're thinking about doing this long term, think about running an inorganic paid media ad campaign using Twitter to get customers. What I suggest is that you set up your account now and you sort of, you run that account in the background. Just make sure that it's kind of a little bit active now. Maybe if you're going to do it in a few months now, set it up anyway, because you may use that in the future. But if you wanted to set that up and you don't have an account, Twitter won't let you run an ad campaign. So the alternative Twitter, the seventh tool that I said I would share with you tonight, is Facebook. Facebook is a fantastic tool to run advertising on. If you have a product, an app, a service, whatever it is, Facebook is a great way to get customers. But don't use Facebook to sell. Use Facebook to get people onto your list, to send them to your webinar, to try out your product. Don't ask people to sell, because you will waste a lot of money. You will lose a lot of potential customers. Get them onto your list, get them to your webinar, whatever it may be. But just get that name, get that email address, and then build a relationship with them with trust and attention. Because without trust and attention, your conversion rates are going to be really low, no matter how many people you can get to your landing page. So the good thing about Facebook is it gives you really in-depth analysis. You can go in, for example, and let's say you were just interested in people who were interested in Doggy Magazine. I made that up. Does Doggy Magazine exist? It might well do. Somebody can tell me. I just made that up. So Doggy Magazine. So if you were interested just in customers who read Doggy Magazine, you could go into Facebook and target that. So I want people who read Doggy Magazine. I want females who are 25 to 34, living in these countries, blah, blah, blah. You can have that really specific targeting on Facebook. Now, that's the upside of Facebook, including, for example, it's very cheap. Facebook is a cheap advertising platform. You can get people to sign up from your platform, from Facebook, for quite little money compared to Twitter and Google. And the good thing as well is a lot of people, more people click through from Facebook to landing pages than they would on other platforms as well. There's one major downside to Facebook, which you have to know. before using it as an ad platform. It's this: you may well get banned, and it's happened to me. You know what? This is a real pain in the ass, because this is where you hit the real negative aspect of Facebook. You're dealing with this huge machine that's not interested in dealing with people on a one-on-one basis. You're a small startup, you're running an ad campaign, you do something which you don't know contravenes the rules of Facebook, these very vague advertising guidelines, banned. No questions, no ifs, no buts, banned. Banned for life. You'll never again be able to run an advertising campaign on Facebook once you get banned. They will not revoke your ban. Once you're banned, that's it. And the reasons they may ban you, which you probably be surprised to learn, for example, if you send traffic to a landing page, believe it or not, if you send people to lead pages, they will ban you. If you use PayPal to pay for Facebook, they will ban you. Unless you're paying thousands and thousands of dollars a month, you're a big advertiser, they're really not interested. It's just, the whole thing's an automated process. So that's why they just kind of drag net and sweep up a whole bunch of these small companies, small entrepreneurs, and ban them. Majority of them shouldn't be banned, but it's just automated. That's how they work, all right? So just be aware of that. If you are relying on Facebook to get customers, understand there will come a day you may well get banned, okay? So don't build your whole business around Facebook to get customers, because it's a very, very dangerous strategy, very, very risky strategy. Okay, so today I've shown you 7 tools that you can use to get customers. I've sort of skimmed the surface. These are tools that I use, I have experience with, I recommend, and you can get customers with these today. You can start using them straight away. If you want to go into a bit more detail, you go into the Launch Your Business Up.School 0 to 1 e-course. I'll tell you a little bit about that now. It's basically what I talked about today, but far more in-depth, a lot of more video analysis, case studies, tools, and so on. So I've developed this specifically to help entrepreneurs like you launch your business. So, you know, there are 5 elements to this, which I go in everything from the mindset to idea validation, to customer profiling, to building your minimum viable product, which you only touched on tonight. That's absolutely essential to your whole marketing strategy. So marketing tonight is, we just skim the surface of marketing, but there's a whole section of marketing in the e-course. And if you want to get the e-course, I'll give you a link at the end of this. You can sign up for it straight away. It doesn't launch until October the 1st, which is Saturday, so 2 days to go. So as a result of that, I know it's $147 normally for the e-course. You know, that's what you're getting is you're getting 50 or more video lessons to help you build your business, something like 50 or more of what you just seen tonight. But rather than give you that for $147, because it's a pre-launch time period, a window of opportunity, I'm going to give you an opportunity to get that for $40, $107 off. There you go, because we're 2 days before launch. So it's an opportunity to get in there early. So some of you guys took up this offer the last 2 weeks. Fantastic. Well done, guys, because you got in at a much earlier and much cheaper stage. The guys that got in last week got in at $20. If you got in week 1, you got in at $10. This week's $40. It goes up. It doubles every week. So if you don't take it up, you miss out on the opportunity. So if you want to get in and you want to learn more about, for example, you want to learn about how to get customers, how to build a minimum viable product, how to validate your ideas using scientific A/B testing, you know, what kind of mindset you need for your product, and also the whole marketing thing. You know, how can you get your first customers? How can you build your customers without spending a lot of money? This is what the e-course is about, and that's what I've been developing by doing these webinars. The kind of questions you guys have been asking me, you know, I've been putting these into the course. So every question that you ask me, I made a video about it on the course, so everything's in there. And what you can now do is you can go back in and you can go and see all the previous webinars that I've produced for you. So there's been about 7 or 8 different webinars. You can go in there and you can get those from the course repository as well. So there you go. If you want to get the course, as I said, $40. If you want to do that, go to Up.School.io 0 to 1, which is the 0 to 1 launch course, and use the token, the coupon Up4. Okay, because Up4 will reduce the price. So you click on I want this, click that, it'll ask you for the payment in that coupon box. What you can then do is type in Up4. That will reduce the price from $147 to $40. So it's $107 off the launch price. Okay, so use that token Up4, that coupon, if you want to get the $107 off. Any questions about that? Feel free to ask me after this webinar. So next week, let's talk about what's going to be going on next week. The 60-minute Up.School business plan. I've shown you this landing page already, but tonight, what I want to talk about, what was that all about? Next week, the webinar is about spending 60 minutes to build a plan for your business that's going to save you time and money. That 60 minutes will have everything that you need to launch a business. That 60 minutes will cover everything, those 5 things that I just talked about. So everything from the mindset to the idea to the customer profile to your minimum viable product, your marketing strategy. So how can you develop a business plan in 60 minutes? And if you spend any longer than 60 minutes, you're wasting your time. So 60 minutes is maximum amount of time that you should be spending on developing a business plan. But absolutely going in next week, developing that plan together. I want to show you how you can make the most of that 60 minutes and create a plan that's going to reduce the risk for you, help you build a product that customers love, and also just de-stress the whole process by helping you focus on what really matters in business. So that's next week. What I'll do is after this webinar tomorrow, I'll send you an email with a link if you want to sign up for that webinar. Places are limited as usual. You'll get a link that will contain the link to sign up for the webinar. You go to this page, you can download also today's PDF. So you're going to get an email tomorrow. That email will contain a link to the PDF from today's presentation, how to sign up for next week's webinar, and also just off the bottom of the page here, how to get onto the e-course, especially take advantage of that offer. Remember that coupon Up4. So there you go, guys. 58 minutes of me talking non-stop. I've shown you today 7 tools that hopefully you can use. You might not be able to use all of these tools, but you know what? Find the one that works for you and go with that. Double down on the strategy that works for you to get customers. And if that works for you, fantastic. Then, you know, focus on that. Don't worry about the strategies that don't work for you. Don't try and make those work, because, you know, it may not be suitable for your type of business or your personality or how you run your business or whatever. So thank you so much for this time with you tonight. I know you guys were all really busy and there's a lot of things you could have been doing, but you sat here with me tonight and you listened to me for the best part of an hour, and hopefully you got some value out of that. So Q&A, guys, we've got a few minutes of Q&A. If you want to hit me with some questions, go ahead. I'll do my best to answer those questions. I know there's a lot of real technical information that I shared tonight. You know, I do my best to answer some of this now. Maybe you can email me as a follow-up as well if you want to know a little bit more about that. I'll give you my email address. But also, you know, if you want to go real deep, go and check out the course as well. So the key here, just review of tonight, just before we go into Q&A. Key, you've got to have trust and attention before you can pitch to people, right? If you don't have trust and attention, you're going to find it really hard to get customers. It's a long-term process. It's a long-term game. You can't go in and email 5,000 people and hope to get customers. Yes, you will get 1 or 2 customers, but you will not have a sustainable business model. That's the key. Hopefully you got that out tonight. All right, so let's answer some of your questions. Shin Ito, how would you enhance contents for newsletters? I myself may be limiting. Yeah, so how do you enhance them? So, for example, how do you get people to click on your newsletters, right? I think that's probably what you're trying to ask me. How do you get people to interact with your newsletters? You've got to do two things, Shin. You've got to do two things for your newsletter. First one is you've got to test everything, all right? Because we don't know the answer to what your newsletter subscribers respond to. I don't know your newsletter. I don't know your subscribers. I don't know what they respond to. Test everything. So if you send out 2 newsletters on your autoresponder, test it. Pick the best one, improve it. Keep testing. Test, always, all right? That's how you can find the best content for your newsletter. The second one, and this is more strategic rather than tactical, is there are 2 ways that you can go about talking to your potential customers. The first one is talking to them like a business, and the second one is talking to them like you. Okay, so Shin Ito, you have a story to tell, right? And I don't know your story, but you have a really interesting story, all right? I don't know what it is, but I bet you have a really interesting story. And your interesting story is what you need to tell your potential customers. Because every time you think about sending out an email newsletter and you think, oh, I'm not sure about that, that's a bit too personal, send it. Because you know what? Every time you do that, you get people come back to me. I'll give you an example. I do podcasts. I have a radio show, right? I do interviews with people on the radio. Interview really interesting entrepreneurs about all kinds of things, about starting their business, raising money, and so on. I did one recently about a guy who raised $1 million on Kickstarter for an Android watch. Really interesting. But you know what? The one interview that people responded to most was the last one. I had a bike crash. I crashed my bike and I hurt myself. I talked about it on my podcast. That is the one that people responded to me. So to your point about enhancing the content, what you want to do is not give people more content, but give people more access. And access is to you and your personal life and your story. So give them a little bit of content to show you know what you're talking about, but also give them a lot of access to the Shin Ito story, your background, what you're doing, you know, your worldview, all that kind of stuff. People love it. You feel a little bit scared about talking about this stuff, but honestly, that is what people react with. The more you show yourself, the more people will interact with you. Hopefully that answered your question. All right, a whole bunch of questions here. Let me just go through these slowly. Mohammed, yeah, Google Ads gave me cheaper results compared to Facebook. That may well be the case. Good for you. Seems like Facebook only works for promoting Facebook products. I guess Twitter is also the same. I get my traffic stuck website. Google Ads. My question is there another platform other than these 3? Really depends on your product or service, Mohammed. Sorry. You know, there's, you know, obviously Facebook and Google have a different interface with your product and your service. So your product is better suited to Google AdWords for whatever reason. Maybe your website has more content. Maybe your website is better because Facebook ads tend to pay less attention to the content on the website. Google Ads pays a lot of attention to the content. If it's good content, you get a cheaper price. All right. Facebook doesn't spend so much attention on that, right? So Facebook, Google, those are the 2 main ones. Twitter is another one. You should try it just to see how it compares with the other platform. The other thing as well, you might want to think about things like Instagram. It works for some people. It really depends on your product or service. You know, if you have a presence on Instagram, you can use Facebook to advertise on Instagram. I know people that do it and do it really well. It works for certain types of products, a very small set of products, but usually, you know, you have to have a presence on Instagram to work. You can use LinkedIn as well, but LinkedIn is very expensive and very, very specific to a certain type of product or service. Those are the main ones. I think to, you know, answer your question, you've got to try everything. You spend a little bit on everything and see what works, all right? because not only will you see what works, you'll also get to compare. Maybe you'll get some ideas. Use Twitter. You'll get some ideas from Twitter to use on Google. Okay, so yeah, I mean, go ahead and try it. I mean, if you haven't tried Twitter, I'd go ahead and do it. If you're finding Google's cheaper than Facebook, go ahead and try Twitter as a comparison as well. But as I said earlier, you need a Twitter account really to get this up and running. If you haven't got a Twitter account, set it up, wait a few weeks, send out a few tweets, get followers, wait a few weeks, and then start running your Twitter ad campaign. And then run it side by side. Run a campaign for Google, a campaign for Twitter, and see how they compare. Send them to different landing pages, measure the results, and what is your return on investment. Then you have the answer, which one is best for you. Hopefully that answers your question. If not, feel free to follow up. Donald Thomas, Don, how you doing, man? What is the time frame from engaging to pitching to selling? Hey, that's a really good question. So let's go back to that autoresponder, right? What is the time frame? If I can just kind of rewind that, if we can remember, I'm going to go back to this one here. So if you were to look at your autoresponder layout, you're asking me, how long should you wait from pitch to sell? Well, there's two answers to this, which are kind of contradictory. And the only way to test this is to do it, right? The first one is that when people sign up to your newsletter, that's the best time to sell. Okay, so this welcome email here. It's a bit of a mess, but you get my drift. The welcome email. A lot of people send a welcome email, which is just like, hi, my name's Don. This is what I do. That should be also a sales tool for you. Hi, my name's Don. This is what I do. And by the way, you know what? I've got a special Halloween offer right now. Boom. Go and check it out. So you should not wait too long, because a lot of people, when they sign up for your product or your service or the newsletter, the interest is the highest, right? So you want to capture those people straight away rather than wait a few weeks. So you're going to capture this group straight away, which is the first answer to that question. And the second group is the group that will never buy straight away and need time to develop the relationship with. And the answer to that question is there is no answer between a pitch and a sell. What you have to do is just constantly engage, constantly engage, and then give them opportunities to buy at different points, all right? Because if you're going to give them an autoresponder, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if they're on for a day, a week, a month, or a year. They're constantly going through that autoresponder and getting opportunities to go to a webinar or to turn up to your event, or buy this 4th of July offer, or whatever it is that you may be offering them, right? So that doesn't matter. That's to the second part, those long-term burn potential customers. It doesn't matter what the difference is between engagement and pitch. You just constantly got to be engaging them and sending them an opportunity to go to a pitch type event, which whatever it is, the examples that I said, like a webinar or some kind of promotion or whatever. So those are the two answers. The first one is get them straight away, because that's when the interest is higher, and everybody else, just constantly engage them. Never stop engaging them. And when they stop engaging with you, when they stop clicking, when they stop opening, you can cut them off, drop them off your newsletter. So you make sure that everybody on your newsletter is people who are interested in what you are doing. Does that answer your question? It's a very difficult question. Hopefully I've given you a little bit of an insight into that. If not, feel free to follow up. Jamie, how you doing, man? My app, Sassy Facts, is free and life enhancing. Does it work getting the word out on forums, etc.? Yeah, that's a really good question. Forums, yeah. So you're asking me have you decided to do forums already, and therefore you're asking me whether or not that works, or are you just considering forums as an option? You see, the thing about forums, I've tried forums and I haven't made them work. And the reason I haven't made forums work is, to make forums work, you have to be an active member of a forum to make it work. The worst thing you can do is turn up to a forum, an active forum and tell people about your app and then piss off. And that's what a lot of people do. It just doesn't work because, again, trust and attention takes time to build in a forum. If you are an active member of a forum already, then yes. If not, don't waste your time trying to become an active member of a forum. I mean, there are, for example, like Reddit. I'm sure there are subreddits where you can go and talk about your app. But unless you're already an active member, you're wasting your time, because what that tells me is that you are not the kind of person that hangs out on forums and does this stuff already. Therefore, it's not authentic for you as a marketing channel to get customers. There are much better ways of doing it. Maybe you're the type of person that works really well at pitching people at events, for example, rather than in forums. So my experience of forums is negative. There may be people here who have had success in forums pitching their product or their app or their service. But the reason why my experience is negative is because I don't spend time building relationships on forums. You just can't go on there and pitch and try and get the attention of people when you don't already have existing relationships. I don't know your situation. Are you already an active member of a forum? If so, then feel free to do that. Follow up. That could work for you. If not, I don't know. I don't think that is a good strategy. But you tell me. Maybe there's some people, as I said, here tonight who have made forums work. But I think the thing about forums, two things. Firstly, the trust and attention aspect, which I talked about. If you're not already an active member, forget it. It's going to be really hard. The second is because it looks really easy, lots of people do it. A great example of that is LinkedIn groups. A lot of people go to LinkedIn groups. Oh, look, there's 200,000 people on this social media LinkedIn group. I'm going to post my product on this, and everybody ignores it. So because just simply having 200,000 people in the group does not equate to any kind of trust or relationship. It's the same of having 200,000 people, names, email addresses on a newsletter. It does not equate to trust and attention, right? It's much better to have 20 people that you have the trust of attention of than 200,000 people who you don't, right? Those sort of days are over where you simply could hit 200,000 people and get responses. Hey guys, hopefully that answers your questions. Wow, some really good questions there tonight. Hopefully you found that useful. So those are the 7 tools that I shared with you tonight. Answered some of your questions, some great questions there tonight. If you have any kind of follow-ups, feel free to email me, graham@upschool.io. And if you email me, I always love finding out a little bit more about your product or your service, wherever you are in that journey. This is a journey, guys. Business is it ain't a journey, it's an adventure. It's an adventure. It's an adventure that we're all on together. Everybody here tonight is on this adventure. You may not think of it as an adventure, but it is. You're going out there into the unknown. You're part of this 5% of the population that has the guts to go out or think about starting their business. So you are part of a unique group. You're on this adventure. We're all here together tonight. We're all on this adventure. So we all got to help each other. If you have any kind of questions, you want to know more, hit me up, graham@upschool.io. Tell me a little bit about your product or your service, where you are. I'll be happy to do what I can to help you out. If you have any questions, I'll try and answer those questions. I can't necessarily answer every question that you have for me, but I'll do my best. But hey, just reach out and say hi. That's what it's about, because we're all in this together. And you know what? I'm going to send you an email tomorrow. As I said, there's 3 things in that email: how to download the PDF, how you can sign up for next week's webinar. I want you at next week's webinar, because next week's webinar is all about 60 minutes. This is going to be the best 60 minutes that you're going to invest in your business. It's going to putting together this plan. We're going to put together a plan for your business that's going to have everything in it. All right? How about that? 60 minutes. You could spend 60 minutes. We waste 60 minutes every day, more than 60 minutes. This is going to be the 60 minutes that you need to invest in to make sure you reduce the risk, produce a product that customers love, get customers, everything. 60 minutes with me next week. How about that? So in the email tomorrow, there's going to be a link to the 60 minutes. And finally, if you want to take up that offer, last chance before we go live on Saturday, sign up for that course. If you want to go real in depth, want to get more detail, more videos like this. There's about 50 videos in there. The Up.School 0 to 1 email course. Guys, thank you so much tonight. Been fantastic sharing this adventure with you, and I'm really privileged that you are here tonight with me here right now from every single corner of the earth, all over there, entrepreneurs everywhere. We love it. I'll see you next time. I'll see you next week, okay? Thank you very much.